And so trying to bring that gentleness, that sweetness, that patience into our daily lives. And one of the best ways I know to do that is to practice appreciation. And I was thinking about appreciation, and I actually thought, well, let me look up, what does the word appreciate mean? And I was stunned by what I found as the definition. To recognize the full worth of. To appreciate something is to recognize the full worth of. Something about that just struck me, because that's what the Guru is doing for us. That's what God does for us. He appreciates us. He sees our goodness. He sees our true potential. He sees who we really are. He sees our true worth. The whole package, not just the outer appearance, not who we've been or what we've done or our attitude or any of those things. He recognizes our full worth. And that's what God is calling each one of us to do. To recognize the full worth of other beings, of everyone we meet. To see that goodness, to look for that goodness, to appreciate the differences. There's an incredible story from the life of Frank Laubach. I mean, his whole life is kind of incredible. He was a Christian missionary in the Philippines in the 1930s. And he went there trying to reach the Muslim people there. And he really struggled when he first got there. And he was feeling very alone, very discouraged, and struggling spiritually. And so he started this practice of trying to think of God at least once every minute throughout the day. And there's a wonderful collection of his letters where he talks about this experience, this experiment. And so, thinking of God, talking to God throughout the day, and he would go up every evening onto this hill and pray and talk to God and try to hear his response. And one night when he was feeling very discouraged, he suddenly started to feel and to hear this response kind of bubbling up from within him and speaking through his voice and saying to him, the reason you're failing, the reason you failed is because you do not truly love these people. You feel better than them. You feel superior to them. Forget that you're an American. Forget that you're a Christian. And think only of how you can love them. And then they will respond. Think only of how you can love them. And the voice, went on to say, if you want them to be open to your religion, you have to be open to theirs. Go and study the Quran with them. So he went to the priest and he said he wanted to study the Quran. And they were thrilled. They thought he was going to convert to Islam. So they gave him a whole list of the 4 sacred books of Islam. The Torah, the laws of Moses. The second one was a book that contains the Psalms of David. The third one was a book that contains the Gospels of Jesus. And the fourth one is the Quran of Muhammad. And so he's trying to explain in their language, what little he could piece together. I've spent my whole life from childhood studying the first 3 of these books. And the priests are trying to talk to him in a little bit in English, a little bit in their language. Jesus is the holiest of prophets after Muhammad. And so there's this bridge that was created, this connection. And from that, he could begin to work with them and help them with the problem of illiteracy, which was a big problem on the island, and begin to create a dictionary of their language. And from that, there's much more to the story, but from that, develop a program that eventually helped millions of people learn to read and write. And, the priests and the young people that worked with him were so grateful. They said, you are the first person who ever tried to appreciate us. How powerful that appreciation can be, that openness, that willingness to reach out, to respect, to be interested in someone else's experience, someone else's path, their expression. Because every faith, every path, every person has something to offer.